Yo, what up, family? What's the word? What's the word? How y'all feeling? How y'all doing? What's the word, cousins? What's the word, family? How we living out here? Move this to the side real quick. How y'all doing? Y'all doing all right today, man? Fifi, what up? What up? What up? What's the word? What's the word? What's going on, everybody? What's going on, man? We got a lot to be getting into today, people, because it's getting crazy out here in these streets. It's getting reckless out here. It's getting real reckless. It's getting spooky. It's getting real spooky out here. We got some updated information, some geospatial timelines that was released. Something that was released today, and we gotta definitely hop into it. What's the word, family? What's the word? How y'all doing? You doing all right? You doing all right? Mugs, I hope everybody came in, and y'all make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you share, hype, and subscribe so that way we continue to grow the channel. We have officially hit over 16,000 subscribers. We are definitely, I think we are at 16,100 so far already. So we hit 16,000 this morning. That is a wonderful feeling. That is a wonderful thing. Shout out to the community. Shout out to the family. We are steadily growing. You know what I'm saying? So I want to be able to give y'all a quick round of applause. You know what I'm saying? Doing what y'all supposed to do. Doing what y'all supposed to do. You know? I appreciate y'all, because some of y'all be taking y'all good sweet time coming up in here.
Damn.
You know, I'll be having to get up on a few people, but at the end of the day, we appreciate everybody that's been sliding through and being a part of the family. You know, I try to make sure I acknowledge everybody, especially everyone that be coming through, no matter if it's super chats, gifts, all of that. I appreciate it. You know, I definitely appreciate it. But we got some stuff we got to get into today, people. And today, we have the Cajun Navy releasing their report about Nolan Wells and the geospatial timeline and vessel movement. It's about to get crazy. So let's go ahead and start getting into it, people. We ain't gonna prolong this too much. Alright, y'all see we got it right here. We got the documents, we got the deeds. We got the stuff, and we're about to get into it now. If you know anything about a geospatial timeline, it pretty much gives like its own analysis as far as what they can glean from the information that was provided, and then they also do a they try to get as much of an accurate depiction from space as possible, and try to formulate an analytical report to be able to provide to the people to see like what happened. So we need to see what in the world transpired. All right, so on Horn Island in Mississippi, July 4th 2026, looks like we got a few vessels right here. All right, we got a few vessels. Do we need to enhance this a little bit? Looks like we have a boat. We have Warren on Palm Beach, and we have another boat. So we got boat 1, we got boat 2, we got boat 3, you got boat X, and you got Warren on Palm Beach right there. All right, this is the figure 1. Looks like annotated source images showing boat number 1, boat X, boat number 2, boat 3 in relation to Palm Beach viewpoint. All right, what's going on, Mom Brat? How you doing? You chilling? How you doing? You feeling all right? What's going on? So let's get into it. We got, what is the investigative focus? The central questions are straightforward, but the available record is not yet complete. All right, so it says at what time, which boats were present, which boats had moved, when did they move, who was aboard them, when did Triton begin to take on water, and what happened between Nolan's last independently corroborated sighting and the 1631 departure of the boat on which Nolan arrived at Horn Island, which, if you're not familiar with military time, that will be 4:31 in the afternoon. All right. Now, from an analytical premise, it says that there remains a material gap Hold on now. What we talking about? What we talking about? What we talking about? Did they say that there is a material gap in the timeline? Who in the... Why is there a material gap in the timeline? From an analytical premise, why would they say that there is a gap in the timeline? We have been saying this from the beginning, haven't we, people? We've been saying this from the beginning. For some odd reason, between 4:30 and about 6 or 7-ish, around that 7 p.m. time, 7:45, it just seems like there's not much information. It's just a lot of fluff, a lot of gray area. Right? A lot of gray area. And even from their own analytical perspective, even from their own analytical premise, them being Cajun Navy, they were out there during the time of Hurricane Katrina, helping save a lot of people. They were out there recovering a lot of bodies, saving and rescuing. All right, now we don't know the whole full thing because we know how Katrina, you know, we know what happened with Katrina for some of us. You know what I'm saying? We ain't gonna talk about it, but to stay on topic, they have a great depth of knowledge, and they have the capabilities of providing an analytical analysis from their perspective, especially if they are gleaning on what information is provided at that point in time. Now, you have the information that's provided and that's available at that point in time, but then you also have what they have here as the material gap. Something just ain't right about that. Now, the most useful next step is not to force a conclusion, but to identify exactly which events are visually documented, which are reported by witnesses, which are only annotated by secondary sources, and which remain unknown. All right? So we got to be able to just not draw an automatic conclusion, because, yes, it's easy to just be like, you know what, there's the gap there, and we going to be like, but they want to be like, look, there's already been enough speculation out there. There's already been a lot of people that's been feeling some type of way about that speculation, whether it's unjust or not. We want to be able to respect it, and we don't want people to end up, we don't want to end up creating unnecessary bias or even an assumption. We don't want to create a resolution that's not actually backed by tangible fact. All right, so I can get that. I can understand that. Plus, them being that type of company, you would definitely want to err on the side of caution. It's a risk mitigation tool. Trust me, I know. But before we continue, I do want to acknowledge the chat. We make sure that we acknowledge the chat over here, people. Look, I know that we are not, the 100,000s and stuff like that, but 10, 15, 16,000, I appreciate the family that slides through, you hear me? So we always got to make sure that we show the family love. Always. You got to show the family some love real quick, you know what I'm saying? All right, now it says cover up, mayonnaise got a dirt in it. Do the mayonnaise got a little dirt in it? Do it got some dirt? Neither do I. Yeah, got a little bit. We know what side TMZ is on. Of course, we know what side TMZ is on. I don't trust TMZ. If that guy Trent hadn't caught them in a lie, we probably wouldn't be seeing this document. Well, at least from them. True indeed. Pull all cameras from the tow company. You know what I'm saying? I understand where y'all coming from with that theory, and I concur. All right, so I definitely understand, because there seems to be a lot of times where they keep explaining things and they just keep getting caught up in the more that they talk. You know, somebody says something, is that the truth is consistent. The truth is consistent, because it don't matter if it's like, let's say if it's 1 year, let's say it could be a week, 2 months, 3 years, 5 years from now, a decade. The truth gonna be the same. 2 plus 2 gonna always equal 4. The truth is gonna be the truth. But you know what, a lie, you gotta always kind of, you gotta try to follow it up. You know, some people, it seems like they've been tripping over themselves with information or with misinformation, and they've been failing to follow that up. So now they kind of go into certain different avenues because they just don't like the coverage. They don't like the media coverage. They don't like the attention that comes from all of the inconsistencies behind these statements. Let's be clear here, people. I want people to really understand this before we continue. Benjamin Crump has a lot of different cases that's just like this. This is not the anomaly. This is his norm, right? You know what made this more prevalent in the news? The inconsistencies. The inconsistencies is what made this more like, hold on, wait, what? Like every time you heard something, it just was like, wait, what? Hold up. So you saying that it was an accidental drowning in the hour? Hold up. Y'all saying that y'all was friends, but he had to, like, they had to go and find his phone via life alert. And then when they try to go and get the phone, Muggs sitting up there acting like standoffish and stuff. Then after that, you sit up there and you get on here and you call Muggs liars. It's like, bro, nobody operates like that when they actually are grieving their friend. Have anybody heard the other black friend that actually first interviewed with TMZ? Has anybody heard him say anything about calling his mama a liar? Has anybody heard anything else besides the 2 interviews that he did, one with TMZ and the other one I think with Good Morning America, or I think it was Today USA, whatever it is, that when he was with his mom and Nolan's mom, have y'all heard anything else about him? No. You want to know why? Because for some odd reason, it seems like that will be a friend that actually cares about his friend not being here no more. But the other ones just seem like they don't really... Y'all picking up what I'm putting down. It's just like, I can tell, like, within the next 2 years that they probably will not even care. While other dude probably, he gonna be going back and checking on his mom, reaching out to his little brother, you know, going, like, 4th of July, doing certain stuff just to, you know, remember his boy. You know, I'm just picking up one. I hope that y'all picking up what I'm putting down. You know what I'm saying? But, all right, so let's get into the executive findings. So we have the geospatial anchor, the MDMR search, datum shown, and the supply correspondence, which is the longitude and latitude, converts to approximately, and it goes into all of the, the specific locations. A separately supplied map pin, and it goes right back into it, is only about 1.6 meters from that point. These 2 depictions therefore appear to refer to essentially the same location, subject to normal GPS precision. Second map point, a second supply coordinate, is approximately 279 meters from the MDMR/origin vessel datum, and then the media supply here does not establish what event that second point represents. Okay. Hold on. Let me see what this was saying. BRB, DoorDash. Somebody said DoorDash is on his way. FBI needs to do a forensical download of all of their devices they own, family, and everyone whose name has been mentioned in this case. Go to a month prior till the day their devices are downloaded. Yes, I agree. External authorities should do the investigation. I do not trust no agency in that state. I think all of us agree with that. And then shout out to Mr. Ovary Massager sending that nice gift. We appreciate that. We're going to go ahead and drop the Don DeMarcos.
Don DeMarco.
You feel me? We appreciate that. We appreciate that. All the love, all the love. But, all right, so, and then we have the vessel clusters. All right, so, and the annotated still consistently depict a cluster that the source labels boat number 1, boat X, boat number 2, boat 3, Palm Beach, and Triton. The images support relative position comparisons, but the labels themselves are user/source annotations rather than independent vessel registration identifications. Embedded time evidence. So we got 2 supply screen recording videos display phone interface clock times of approximately 3:23 and 4:27. The 4:27 recording shows boats and people in the anchorage. Because these are clocks visible inside captured social media content, they should be treated as timing indicators, not automatically as verified original camera timestamps. Okay. So basically all they're trying to do is like lay out like time structures, where people were placed, where the boats are placed. Not more so saying that they're drawing any conclusions or anything. They're just more so giving more specifications as to why they can pinpoint certain things at 3:23 compared to at 4:27, and they're not also sure if that's going to correspond with actual social media content time periods compared to the original time periods of the camera. So, which that can I would say that that's going to be usually more like in tandem, just because it's on the internet. Those usually are in sync as far as time periods. But you have the 4:31 departure hinge. Now the stated 4:31 departure time of the boat on which Nolan arrived at Horn Island site only minutes after the 4:27 embedded clock visual. If the 4:27 time corresponds to the event itself, that media could be highly probative of the immediate pre-departure vessel configuration. Original file metadata or platform post metadata is needed to authenticate that inference. So they need the specifics. They need the original file, because they need to be able to correlate that with the metadata, which is actually going to tell the actual timestamps of what that time period is. And a lot of times they do that. They do that all the time in court cases. If you watch what case was that was really big? If you watch that Johnny Depp case, they did that a lot with the Johnny Depp case, because a lot of times the wife or his ex-wife would make comments or make statements and say this was at a different point in time, different period of time, and this, that, and the third. So they ended up going to the metadata of it, and when they pull up the metadata, you can't alter that. That's something that's unalterable, because it will show if it's source data or if it's third party or if it's going to be stuff like that. So that's a pretty important fact. So I would say that they would need that, but with them being an outside source, I'm pretty sure that they're not going to be able to get it. So this is more of them giving a outside purview. Let's see, post 431 witnesses material. All right, hold up. Before we continue, let me see. The little shot ammo is on deck. What up, though? BRB DoorDash still. All right, cool. All right, so let's see. Post 431 witness material. All right, so a supplied social media statement places an almost fighting group around 5 p.m. and says that Bertram, with a blue top left shortly thereafter, pretty fast, a reply disputes that the relevant person was Nolan and says a different young man was present. This conflict is important precisely because it prevents treating the 5 p.m. account as a confirmed sighting of Nolan. Okay, so basically I believe that they're talking about that one video. Supply social media statement places almost fighting group 5 p.m. It's the Gulf of Mexico near the military fishing, commercial, and personal water. It's heavy surveillance presence in the area. Info can be found. Hey, that is good. That is good to know. Now, it also says late observations. Another supply social media image states that the commenter was parked next to the group and that Nolan was nowhere in sight when the commenter left at 7:30. This is a reported observation, not independently verified by the supply media. Oh, okay. So this is letting it be known that, hey, there was somebody that was there. There's a social media image that states that the commenter was parked next to the group and that Nolan was nowhere in sight when the commenter left at 7:30. So that means that Nolan was already gone. So the main thing is, and this is what everybody keeps asking, where was Nolan? Like, dog, where was Nolan? All right, hold up. We got core gaps. So the supply package does not by itself establish a continuous independently corroborated chain from Nolan's last known sighting through 4:31 p.m. That gap remains the critical analytical interval. And then at 1650, a configuration point, the newly supplied 1650 photograph adds a post 1631 visual checkpoint. Frontier Bay, which is number 2, is no longer in its earlier original position, consistent with the fight video still. If the time is authenticated, the movement occurred by 1650, although the exact movement time remains unknown. Man, the main thing, it seems like, of where Nolan's disappearance is between 4:30 and 7 o'clock. So that time period in between there, that 2.5 hour gap, is where it seems that something happened to Nolan. Now, do we know that if, and let's give some plausible options to everybody, right? Let's say, hypothetically speaking, if he didn't go anywhere, let's say if he didn't come back with his friends that he originally came out there with, and let's just say he hopped on another boat. Let's just say if that's plausible. Let's just say if that was to happen. And let's say if there may have been an altercation, may have happened there, or may have something nefarious happened there. We don't know. The only thing is that nobody can rule out anything. Nobody can rule out anything more than what they see as far as people leaving out. People leaving out, people coming in, and let's see what other additional information that they've been able to provide. So we have evidence, classification, and limitations. All right, so to avoid overstating the evidence, this report uses the following hierarchy. All right, so it wants to go from most important to least relevant. All right, so we got direct visual observation. That is the most relevant because we have something that's tangible. All right, a meaning by that, a feature visible in the supplied photograph / video without relying on a label for identity. Examples in this report will be the boat holes, flags, relative position, crowds, shoreline, and screen and clock displays. And then you got source annotation, documentary statements, analytical inferences, and so forth and so on. So what they do is they try to take the coordinates from that, try to piece everything together, see where every location was, every boat's location, and then see like, all right, did it go in this direction during this point in time? It looks like it went in this direction, especially direct in the way it was pointed. So at 4:31 it was shown as this, but at 4:50 when he seen that it was looking like it was about to be a fight or whatever, or a little like, you know, a little kerfuffle, that's when you see that there is that second boat that's not there anymore may have, you know, went on about its way in the direction that it was already pointed in. So it's things like that, basically what is pretty much coming to the synopsis of when it's saying with the executive findings. And then also with the evidence classification, just letting it be known like, hey, we got this stuff. And then it's also trying to tell you how it was able to source the media. So it tries to make it as easily digestible as possible. The reason that they do this is because if any of this information has to go into the court, if it has to go into the in the courtroom, they want to have this as capable, as easy as possible, just to put it in so it's already structured. They don't want to have to, you know, create it and make it where it's digestible. They want it to be digestible upon entry. All right, so that's how they want it. They want it served to your plate as delicious as possible. Pretty much, that's what they want. Now you got geospatial reconstruction. All right, now we cooking with some grease. Now we cooking with the grease. Now we cooking with the grease. All right, hot grease, fish grease. All right, MDMR. Origin vessel datum. All right, supply documentary coordinates. All right, so we got described in the MDMR correspondence as being based on the origin vessel GPS data and associated with 1800 CST, which is Central Standard Time, on 4 July 2026. All right, so it says, as a part of our response, the MSMDMR request SAR data related to the missing person of Nolan Wells. The MDMR will use this data to start sonar scans in the area. While information is still limited, we request the following to be used for the data. All right, so, and I ain't gonna lie, that's a little hard for me to read over there because that mug is a little tight. It's a little tight, so I ain't gonna lie to you. You know what I'm saying? But let's see if I can actually make this mug a little bit bigger, because I know I got this mug. Could exit full screen and go a little bit bigger like this. Yeah, I might end up doing that. Like, well, nah, I'll just go full screen. I'll just keep it this way, because I don't like how that looks. All right. But, all right, so we got, this is the original point. You got figure 3A, and then you got figure 3B. So it's pretty much, it's not that much of a difference. So calculated comparison, the figure 3A pin is approximately 1.6 meter from the MDMR origin vessel data. Figure 3B is approximately 279 meters from the MDMR data and about 279 meters from the figure 3A. This is a strong geospatial match for 3A, but it does not by itself establish when the vessel occupied that point or what occurred there. Hold up. What they just say? What they just say? Did y'all just... What this calculated comparison, what that just say? What up, IT? Oh my God. I'm going to read that one more time. So look, we got the calculated comparison. It says the 3A pin, which is this figure right here, is approximately 1.6 meters from the MDMR origin vessel datum. Now, figure 3B, which is this point right here, so it's talking about from this point to this point, is approximately 279 meters. 279 meters. from the MDMR data, and about 279 meters from figure 3A, they say this is a strong geospatial match for 3A, but it does not by itself establish when the vessel occupied that point or what occurred there. Why they so... That last statement don't come across like they just chalking it up that there was nothing nefarious that had happened. That sound like we can't rule out what happened there. We can't explain that gap. Because that gap is significant. It's not significant enough where you... Hoo-wee. It's always been a bunch of theories and speculation. And I know one theory and speculation that was thought of was if they just pushed him out and then he got tired and ended up not being able to, and they drove off. This would be a crazy situation if that was something similar. This would be a crazy situation like that. But I'm not saying that is. I'm just saying that this seems very weird where they're saying that they cannot draw a conclusion or just even a real inference on what occurred in between that point in time. They just know that that's an unexplainable time period, just like 4:30 to 7 o'clock is an unexplainable time period. That is crazy. Who is that? Fifi? Oh, what up, though? Yeah. Keep doing your thing. What up, Quante? Let's see. What are we talking about? All right, now shoreline context. We got the shoreline context. Inverted to denote a north and south view of Horn Island. All right, so we got the aerial images show the relationship between the north side Anchorage, which is the shoal, and the island's tip, without an image containing a scale bar, north arrow, and verified camera position. Precise bearings should not be inferred from the photographs alone. Yeah, because basically they just saying they showing a visual, just showing you how it would look, but don't try to draw a conclusion or inference by saying, oh, that blue area, that was Nolan right there, or something like that, just because it got blue. And because Nolan did have on blue, they saying please don't draw that inference. But they just want to give us a view, an aerial view. So supply aerial view of with the blue marker, and second supply aerial tip view. Okay, so just giving 2 tip views. All right, so working timeline. We out here now. Man, hey, I like how they did this, man. I ain't even gonna lie to you. I like how they did this. Like, I'm telling you right now, I like how they put it together. We got a whole timeline right here, people. We got a real timeline.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? We got for sure. You know what I'm saying? We got a whole timeline. All right, so we got working timeline before 3:23. The event. Now we got the categories. We got time. We got event and observation, evidence status, and sources. All right. So we got time, event, observation, evidence status, and the sources that we need to be looking at. All right. So before at 3:23 p.m., no continuous chronology established in the supply package. We already starting off with empty. Then we go into 3:23 p.m. A supply vertical screen recording displays a phone clock of 3:23 while showing the crowded anchorage and nearby boats. Time indicator not authenticated original captured time. All right, so they saying that it's not, it hasn't been authenticated, but this is what it's showing as far as the time period. Now we have the last independently corroborated sighting. User identifies this as the start of the critical gap. All right, because this is also in the unresolved in this package category. All right, so for the evidence status, it is going into the unresolved category. User investigate premise, and from that, user identifies this as the start of the critical gap. Exact time and cooperating source are not contained in supplied media package. So basically what that's saying is that we just keep, regardless of how we want to even try to look into other different aspects, because we are looking from the outside looking in, and we don't have certain pertinent information, we don't have subpoena power to be able to go after certain things, we have to give our analysis based on what we were able to glean from the site, from what we were able to do, us being able to recover the body, and also this sonar as well, and any type of geospatial additional information that we can corroborate. Now you have at 427 a second supply vertical screen recording. So this is the second one, displays a phone clock of 427 while showing boats / people in the anchorage, which is on the tip of the island. The anchorage is the shawl, the tip of the island. All right. Time indicator potentially highly relevant, and still video sourced, and but still not authenticated from the original capture. So this is also in that same unauthenticated type of information. Now 431. This is where stuff starts to get a little different. All right, now we done seen that there's 2 videos out there, and then at 431, the boat on which Nolan arrived at Horn Island departed at 431 per user supplied timeline. Now, I'm wondering, I was just about to think about this, like the supplied package does not include the underlying GPS engine AIS record proving the time. Oh, whoa, ho, ho, ho. Whoa! So this is user supplied. That means that this was just the account that what the kid said. Now, we're not saying that the kids are lying, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we get the most accurate information possible. Okay? And we need to be able to glean that from the GPS. Now, if I'm not mistaken, chat, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Bart and them say that they have passed over that GPS information? Or was that on, they may have passed it over, but it might have just been the law enforcement. May have just been the law enforcement. But it would probably do them some good if they knew that the Cajun Navy was going to put out some type of report, that they probably provided them that same information as well if they were going to give them the user supply timeline. Now, that does not mean, it says, hold up, user investigative premise. So I'm not sure if this is direct from one of the users of the boat, or if this is what they had stated in the public, and you are pretty much taking that information and saying that that was user information. That part is a little foggy to me as far as the event and observation. Also, I would wonder if you are able, or if you had requested the GPS data or engine information. I would wonder that. That would be something that I would be highly interested in wanting to know. Let me see what the chat talking about real quick. Keep doing your thing. Noah says that they have zero proof of Nolan being on that island after 3:30. Abby also says nobody has proof he was on the island after 4:27 when the train left. Took them a while to release. It clearly states that there is zero evidence he was on the island after the boat he arrived on left, and that's all I needed to hear. All this 3 witnesses saying he was on the island after 4:30 is false. Katie, don't trust them either. Yeah, like, look, I know that some people are going to glean their own pieces and glean from, they're going to come up with their own, summaries, their own assumptions, their own analysis, their own hypothesis. I get it. Our main thing is to try to decipher as much information that's provided as much as possible. For us, and this is just me, I don't know if that how they were raised. I don't know how they were raised. I know how I was raised was who you come with is who you leave with. One swing, you all swing. All right, so that's how I was raised. Who you left with is who you come back with. I don't care if they want to leave with that person or not. You're gonna be an issue. So, and then on top of that too, as a boat captain, you do have a due diligence and a duty to make sure that they get back. I'm just more so speculative about that space, that time period of space, and I'm wondering like what happened in between there. And then also, let's just say hypothetically speaking, if nothing did happen with those kids and they just left and Nolan wasn't even on that boat. Let's say if he was on another boat or whatever. I still want to find out what happened. Like, it don't stop. Nothing about that stops any of that. I just wish that they would produce, like, if you have video footage of the boat, that would be the most helpful. I'm talking about like direct video access. Usually they have video access of the boat and showing everybody that's in the boat and showing the boat captain, everything like that. You showing the entire boat. But I don't know if they had that or if they were just too drunk to turn on a regular camera or anything, or if they just don't have that type of technology on their Triton. I don't know. But I know most boats, they usually have that. But let's continue. But I am a little bit speculative about like them not getting this information. That shouldn't be too difficult to be able to get. All right, so we had around 5 p.m. Matthew Lamp states a passenger was pretty certain a person was a part of a group that was almost fighting around 5 p.m. He says that Beachram with blue top left shortly after the fest. Well, hold up. Afterward and fast. Hold up. All right, so I read that wrong. My fault. Bertram with blue top left shortly afterward and fast, not believed to be a factor at this time. All right, and I probably should go downstairs and grab my doggone glasses, because I ain't gonna lie, that's like I got my glasses. I ain't gonna lie, it do make it a little harder to be able to read that without my glasses. But yeah, this basically is saying like that one dude that said that he almost got into a fight. They're saying that they don't think that this had anything to do with Nolan or anything. So secondhand social media, and they don't believe that it has anything to do with it or is not relevant at this point. So it's a little bit after 5 p.m. Conflicting. Melissa Thomas. Okay, hold on. Melissa Thomas disputes the identification. States a different young man was with her group and says they spoke to the boys, one of whom had an entire vodka bottle. Hold on, wait.
Dom DeMarco.
Oh, shoot. Did we just find the first piece of conflicting information on us? Because remember, we already been saying that they've been trying to put on the girl. The girl been trying to say that, hey, no, I ain't do nothing. Like, shoot, it ain't on me. But I don't know. That's a bit crazy that they saying, all right, Melissa Thomas disputes the identification and states a different young man was with her group. So she's saying that it was not Nolan that was with her group. It was a different person. And says that they spoke to the boys, one of whom had an entire bottle of vodka. Mm-hmm. You out here with the vodka? Hmm? You out here with that vodka? You got that Smirnoff. And you over there with that nasty. Yeah, you got that Grey Goose, didn't you? Yeah, that's what you had. Well, yeah, you probably had that Sveka. That's probably what, yeah, probably had that Sveka. But no, so that's conflicting though. Because you got two people saying, you got this person saying, well, you got one saying that he left with he was supposed to go and talk to this girl. You got the girl saying, nah, he ain't leave with us. Hold up, let me see. If we don't find out what happened, it will happen again. This history should never repeat itself. Yup. I mean, shoot, sad enough, it already, he probably did. Hope Nolan's family finds peace in the truth of what happened and comes out, but TMZ isn't reliable. A Garuda, am I late again? Yeah, you're a little bit. You about like, you know, but we ain't gonna hold it against you. We ain't gonna hold it against you. You family. But you know, we basically just going through the stuff. You know what I'm saying? We are on the 6th section of it. You know, we are going through the timeline right now to give you a quick little recap, and I'll give you a little recap. You know what I'm saying? So we were talking about that at 3:23 chronologically, they couldn't actually find anything as far as what happened around that point in time. And then what they got was they got a vertically screen recording of the video showing that there was, you know, people that were crowded on the island, on the tip of the island, right? So then they were talking about that they are trying to corroborate this critical gap, because there's a critical gap between the last sighting of Nolan at about 4:31 until about 7 p.m. when somebody who was leaving the island, one of the last few vessels that was leaving the island, they said that they hadn't seen Nolan or anybody else that even resembled Nolan still being out on the island during that point in time. So between 4:31 and that around 7 p.m. ish time period, they're trying to figure out what exactly happened, because there is a lot of gray area there. All right, and then from there we ended up getting to around that time period of 4:27, where you know, a second video was supplied during that point in time, but it just showed the boats around the anchorage and everything. So it showed that whole little area that we had saw at one point in time, and then at a later point, there was a boat on which Nolan had arrived on Horn Island at 4:31. They said that you know, that boat was starting to leave off. That's what is the user. That is user information that was supplied, not actually anything that was corroborated by GPS or imaging or the engine or AIS records or anything like that, right? So then around 5 p.m. they say that there was supposed to be that fight that was supposed to happen. You know about that fight where the dude was talking about, that wasn't Nolan, that was me, I wanted to fight somebody, all that bull stuff like that. But then they say that Nolan tried to leave with this girl. But here's the thing, is that this says right here that at 5 p.m. the conflicting information is that Melissa Thomas disputes the identification and states that it was a different young man. It was a different young man that was with her group, and says that they spoke to the boys. They actually spoke to the team group that Nolan and was with, and that one of them had a big bottle of vodka. Yeah, they had a big bottle of vodka. And then we got LKZ 36, and then they said, did you hear about the exposing Flacco stuff? I did not, but I'm going to give you a quick
Dom DeMarco.
for the $2. I appreciate that. For the $2, let's go ahead and like and give you the heart and everything. I don't know what you're talking about with the Flacco exposing stuff. What are we talking about here? Are we talking about the past situations of his, like the Nick Fuentes and kind of like the past conversations that he used to have with Adam 22 and all of that other stuff? If you're talking about that, we have a conversation that we're going to be having about that really, really soon. I think you're talking about that point and shoot situation. We might have to have a conversation about that if that is what you're talking about. But if it's not, I need to know what you're talking about. But that will be a conversation that we will be having. All right, I did want to know. Believing TMZ is like believing Kamala at this point. You is crazy. Okay, you is crazy. They're saying believing TMZ is like believing Trump. Okay, believing TMZ is like believing Trump.
Damn.
Okay, that's what you're talking about there. That's what you're talking about. But yeah, we not throwing Kamala in that one. We ain't gonna throw Kamala in that one. Do she be lying? Do she be on some other stuff? There may be a couple of things that she be on some BS about. But if we gonna talk about lying, bigly, come on now, bigly. Yeah, we some people lie just because they like to lie. All right, we gonna digress back to the point. Let's get back on topic. All right, so we get into the situation. 6 p.m. Friday, and I just got paid Friday. No, seriously though. But we got 6 p.m. MDMR correspondents later use 1800 CST. If you don't know what 1800, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time and Military Time with the Origin Vessel GPS datum for SAR sonar planning. This should not be interpreted automatically as a sighting time. Documented search planning time. Okay. So MDMR correspondents later used 1800 CST with the Origin Vessel GPS datum for SAR sonar planning. Let me look at this. Let me pull this back. Let me look at this. Let me just get this real quick. I want to capture this real quick before we end up getting right back into it. I just want to see something. I want to see something real quick because I just want to see something. Let me just see something. Is that this? Hold on. So the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources. Okay, so we got the search and rescue, sonar and planning. Okay, so they're trying to basically indicate that the GPS, I suppose investigations, I don't know. Oh. So this might not, so why even put it in here in the first place? But it's saying that this might actually have it listed. Last confirmed. Okay, so that's when they start going out for the search. Documented search planning time. Alright, and then 7:30, Caitlin Brochard states that they were parked next to the group and he was nowhere in sight when they left at 7:30, because them acronyms was getting on my doggone nerves. I'm like, bro, hold on, what is the MDMR? Like, I don't know what that is. I know what the search and rescue stuff is just off of, being an instructor, but I don't know what the MDMR was. But all right, so Caitlin Brochard states that they parked next to the group, that he was nowhere in sight when they left at 7:30. Social media claim. All right, so that's Caitlin. 4:59, 6:15, so 4:58 p.m. They supplied shoreline photograph shows that the crowded Anchorage Frontier Bay number 2 is no longer in its earlier original position, matching the positional change seen in a later fight video still. Okay, so it's saying that the vessel, boat number 2, where the way that it left out is consistent with the other corresponding information and videos that was later supplied at a later point in time. So it's at least a couple of different things that's supplied that is going in that same direction. All right, so the critical interval, though, the period requiring the most scrutiny, is the interval between the last independently corroborated sighting of Nolan and the asserted 4:31 p.m. Triton departure. The 323 and 427 visual material may bracket or illuminate part of that interval, but only if the displayed clock times can be authenticated as corresponding to the original event recordings. The supplied media does not close the gap. So they still acknowledge that there is a gap. They acknowledge that in between that gap that they were trying to go for a documented search of the vessel, and that was around 6 p.m. But by 7:30 that they were parked and that everything was pretty much, good. Let me go ahead and see what. Good luck, and remember, don't blow. Bro, I'm voting for whoever ends up making it best for my community. And if that's blue, I'm definitely voting blue. But hey, we got to make sure that we end up dropping this bomb.
Dom
For the 10
DeMarco.
jewels, I appreciate you for the 10 jewels. What is the inconsistencies from the friends? Yeah, the inconsistencies come from the friends because initially when you say that when you say that this person left with this person, and then when you talk to the girl says, no, that person never left with me, there's an inconsistency there. Now, does that mean that it's the boys that could just be inconsistent? No, let's just say, and you know what, I'll give this much plausibility. Let's just say if they are actually being accurate and authentic. And let's just say if the girl is lying. Let's just give that theory. Let's give that theory a little bit of meat. If the girl ended up, let's say if he ended up going with the girl, and then the girl, if that stuff started to, they flirting on anything, her boyfriend, her ex-boyfriend, or somebody that likes her, who he probably ain't have a chance before, gets mad, gets upset, does something that's, ends up being nefarious, it would be a lot easier for her to just deflect it on his friends. Because we're not really questioning that girl, if you think about it. Nobody has really questioned the girl. We actually just kind of taken her statement at face value. But we have more so questioned a lot of his friends. And if his friend's story check out, and I'm saying if everything just keeps checking out, we got to look at everybody else too, including that girl. So that's where the conflict kind of comes in, because one is saying, hey, I didn't see this person. This person, if that group is saying, hey, he left to go talk to this girl, and then the girl says, hey, no, he left to go and be with his friends. Somebody lying. Everybody ain't just somebody lying. But it would be crazy if both of them would tell the truth. Well, I don't know. That's the crazy part. So you just don't know. We don't know. That's why we're trying to figure out that gap. That gap is imperative, but the information that's being provided is so contradictory, because it's like, if this person, that's like if you can't. If I say that somebody stole my car, if I say what's the name stole my car, and then they say I stole you stole the other car. If I say hey, TJ stole your car, and then TJ say hey no, Rashard stole your car, what are you gonna be able to believe? You just gonna be like, my car is gone. Like, who stole the car? But we blaming each other, saying no, it's one or the other. Somebody did something. Somebody knows something. You know what I'm saying? So something is known. But all right, so let's see what else. I don't for any any politician. Don't like any family, homeless, pastor, send our tax money and non-Americans. We going through this because of red state. Hey, I ain't gonna lie. A lot of this is because of red states. Red states, poorest, dumbest states. But we ain't gonna talk about. I don't like that when folks use soundboards. Hey, Nope. Democrats been redlining and sending our community money to Europeans, Israel for a while, even under Obama. Hey, I ain't gonna lie and say that the Democrats ain't did stuff wrong. Definitely, that's why people have been splintering into different things. But at the same time, too, you gotta do what you gotta think about what's logical too. Like we can't be intellectually dishonest to be like, hey, the one group hasn't pushed more in our favor than the other group. Republicans haven't provided us much as far as legislative victories. Democrats have. We can't sit there and act oblivious or intellectually dishonest behind that. So I get what you're saying. I get completely what you're saying. But I want y'all to take into position this perspective too. I was 18 when I graduated in 2008. I remember going to college when we didn't have insurance, when the market had fell through because of a Republican president, and we were losing 800,000 jobs per month. I remember this vividly. I remember how bad it was where we had to go to the emergency room just to get health insurance. And then Obama comes in and he makes it with the Obamacare, making it where our parents can keep us on their insurance until we're up to 26. So that extended my capabilities of being on my parents' insurance until I was 26. Before then, I was working a full-time job in college, in corporate America, and I still they didn't even supply us health insurance. Obama at least made it where you had to supply, if you got over 20 employers, you have to supply health insurance. Come on now, you have to at least be intellectually honest about certain things. And we ain't gonna talk about the immigration bill, civil rights, and all that stuff like that. I get it. People gonna have their own politics. That's another story for another day. But we gonna talk about this. All right. So we gotta stay. Let's keep the focus on the focus. All right. But the vessel presence, movement, and occupancy matrix. All right. So you got the vessel label. Vessel labels are the presence in the supply imagery. Now, when they talk about the vessel label, this is what they mean by this. So you have boat number 1 over here. You have boat X. You have boat number 2. You have boat 3, and then you have Warren on Palm Beach. All right. So this is what they mean when they're talking about the cluster of the boats, and then also having the anchorage right here as well. This is what they're referring to. Okay. So when they're talking about that, oh shoot, went too far. They're talking about the vessel label, the presence in supply imagery, movement and evidence, occupancy evidence, confidence, key issues. All right. So boat number 1 shown by annotation. 1 still explicitly labels boat number 1 POV, source comparison, and all that. And then you got boat number 2, and then you got boat number 3, the Frontier Bay, boat number 3, and also Palm Beach, and then the Triton, annotated in the composite image, and then Bertram with the blue top. All right, so you see it here. You see all of that here. Boat X is missing. This is the fight video. All right, so you see boat 2 is over here. Boat 3 is over here. Boat X is over here. Boat 1 is over here. And Warren on Palm Beach. So this is the Palm Beach. This is the Palm Beach boat. And then you have the back layout, the back anchorage of the island. Okay. So now this is boat number 2. And boat number 3 looks like it's going in that direction. And then you got the boat POV, boat number 1 POV. All right. So says what this supports is the vessel arrangement change between the 2 depicted configurations. If the source labels are accurate, what it does not yet support the exact time boat X moved, its destination, its occupants, or whether its movement is related to Nolan's disappearance. All right, so boat X, we are not sure of boat X. Okay, we don't know if that has any cooperation to Nolan's disappearance. Now, You see Nolan on board the Triton. There's Nolan on board. They got the beer in their hands. They got the beers. Now, beers ain't gonna make you drunk unless you drinking a lot of them, and you gotta be really drinking them. I want y'all, like, when I say that I used to be like that dude on campus, I was that dude. Because, like, I was the person that was going, I like to make sure that I supplied the fun. I was the person that made the fun happen. Right? So, we would do stuff like play games like Edward 40 Hands. You ever played that game? Edward 40 Hands is when you take two 40-ounce bottles, we duct tape the mugs to your hand, and you gotta drink both of the mugs, and you can't come out of them until you drink both. That's Edward 40 Hands. And you, bro, I'm talking about you. That's a way. If you gonna get drunk off a beer, that's a way. But you notice how much that would take? That's 80 ounces. You ain't getting drunk off of this. Like, I ain't gonna lie to you. You might get a little buzz. You might get a little buzz, but I don't see you getting drunk. Now, unless they ain't like that girl said, had a big bottle of vodka. That big bottle of vodka is crazy, you know. So it's like, you got that big bottle of vodka, you don't know what Muggs is doing with it. All right, so you got boat number 1, boat number 2, boat number 3. Then you got, in this one, it says boat number 2, Palm Beach, and the Triton. All right, you see these right there, and it looks like they structured in that direction. All right. So, and this also shows like Nolan on the beach, on the Palm. Well, that's the Palm Beach. That's the Triton. So they are right next to each other. Right here. Okay. All right. So 7.2. 1650. CST shoreline photograph. Frontier Bay position change. Source time. The newly supplied photograph is represented as having been taken at 1650. So at 4:50 Central Standard Time on the 4th of July, 2026, 19 minutes after the user supplied 1631 departure. So this actually shows a different time period than what they originally stated. They said 431. This image shows 450. All right. So the user supplied 1631 departure of the boat on which Nolan arrived at Horn Island. Key visual observations. So let me just get this. Frontier Bay / boat number 2 is no longer in the earlier original position shown in figure 5A. This is consistent with the later fight video still, where the vessel configuration has likewise changed. So the analytical significance: if the 1650 capture time is authenticated, the photograph establishes an upper bound time. Frontier Bay had moved from its earlier position by 1650. It does not establish the exact minute of movement, destination, occupants, or any connection between the movement and Nolan's disappearance. Nolan possibly in this photo, but not confirmed. Nolan possibly in this photo, but not confirmed. And you said, how do you pee? I mean, shoot, if you out there in the water, they probably just pee in the water. That's what I would think. Probably just pee in the water. Turn, putting sticky weed on. You know, do you do? I don't choose which evil I prefer. The one who gives legislation also cripples freedoms. Do not choose evil OG any form. All right. LOL Guru, come on. Yeah, Guru, these monks. No presidents, bro. No vodka in my juice. Yeah, I don't do, like, see, look, let me tell y'all something. One thing that I need, even the ladies, I need y'all to start doing this. when y'all get y'all cups, like let's say when y'all go out, when you go out for drinks or anything like that, get a napkin, put it over your cup, and fold it over your cup, and then put the straw in it. That's what you should do. Or do it the other way where your straw is already there, and then you put the cup, put the napkin over the cup and stuff, and make sure that you can't nobody spike your drink, or at least like because you put that drink down, you should never put that pick that mug back up. And then you know that right now I don't play none of those type of games. All right, so oh shoot, this is probably one of the best photos that I done seen. This is one of the best photos I done seen. Is that Nolan? All right, supplied shoreline photograph represented as taken 16 uniform Frontier Bay boat number 2. Oh, we about to pull that up. We gotta pull that one up. We gotta pull that one up. We gonna have to pull that one up a little bit more. Is that Nolan? Supplied shoreline photograph represented as taken in 1650 Frontier Bay. Boat number 2 is no longer in its earlier original position. Nah, that ain't Nolan. Nah, that ain't Nolan. I see what that. All right, see what I'm saying? Okay, I get what that girl talking about now. She's saying that it was another dude that, if this is that Morgan girl, you know what I'm saying? Like, nah, there was another dude that was on our boat. It wasn't him. It wasn't Nolan. Or it was another dude that I was talking to. That would make more logical sense. That would make way more logical sense. Hold on, let me back this up a little bit. All right. Yeah, that would make way more logical sense. Let's see. Okay, hold up. Let's go. Let me go back to present. All right. All right, so video-derived timing indicators. We got caution on the clock interpretation. The displayed times are visible in the screen recorded social media content. They may be the phone's current time when the screen recording was made rather than the original event recording time. Authentication requires the underlying original post/title, file, platform metadata, or testimony from the original recorder. So yeah, video derived from the. All right, this is some additional videos that was provided. I wish that we would be able to actually see them in full view. Like, we'll actually hear and listen to the video. See if I can actually pull up something. All right, so this is the first image. So it's not really providing that much significance between that part. Let's see if there's something here. We got Anna C. Moore. Okay. All right, so yeah, it says that they can't corroborate the timing just because it could be based upon their set time or the phone's time, which it could be different, but usually it's all in sync. The wide panorama videos are valuable for physical context and vessel feature matching. Standing alone, however, they do not supply a reliable event / timestamp for a full movement track. Now okay, now we get into the water, the Triton's water ingress question. All right, so current finding unresolved. Oh shoot, They came through straight off the dribble, just saying that, dang, they unresolved. They got this mug unresolved. So none of the supplies, stills, videos, correspondence, or social media screenshots establish when the Triton began taking on water. The report, therefore, does not assign a time or cause. The strongest evidence that could resolve this question would include original onboard photos / videos showing bilge levels, pumps, deck / scupper condition, or passenger response. You also have the bulge pump electrical history, breaker / fuse condition, and any automatic pump activation evidence. Chart plotter / GPS track and speed changes around the reported departure, and also outboard ECU / engine hour RPM history where available. Statements from each Triton occupant taken separately and compared on a minute-by-minute basis. Any Coast Guard, DMR, Marine Patrol, tow / assistant, or VHF traffic reference water ingress. All right. So what do we have here? Oh, okay. Let's see. Oh shoot! So we got a bunch of different social media posts. Okay. Let's go into the social media posts. Let me see. Thank you, Cajun Navy. Yep, most definitely. I definitely appreciate the Cajun Navy for providing some of this information. Yeah, gotta get at least on what is it? At least one down super fast. You know what's funny is that I think this is hilarious. They got the first arrest that happened in this Nolan Wells case didn't come from his mama getting harassed or threatened. It didn't come from his father getting harassed or threatened. It didn't come from any of that. It came from the judge. The judge being harassed and threatened. That's the funniest part to me that I think is like crazy. But all right, so really that is good. Hopefully more women buy them nail polish. That is fun. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what y'all talking about, Garuda Legends, but the Cajun Navy don't have the downloaded info straight from the GPS like the police have, but they are probably using CBS News obtained. Yep, he's using the information that's provided to the public for the most part. He's not capable of getting the actual stuff unless they provide it themselves. They will have to do that willingly, and that's what I think they're not able to do at the current moment. There's also a nail polish you can get that will change the color if you're a drink with spike. Yeah. Oh yes, true. I know what you're talking about, where girls end up there, just put their finger up into what's the name, and then their nails, it'll change the nail polish if it got spiked. Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about. I've definitely told some women to do that from my CPL class, from my concealed pistol license class. Yep. Shout out to everybody, man. I appreciate everybody. So let's continue. All right, so and we got 134 in the chat, man. Hold on, we got to make sure that we clap it up for y'all, bro. We got to give y'all a round of applause on that one. It's 134 up in the chat. Y'all out here cooking today, baby. Y'all out here cooking today. Cooking with hot grease. All right, so let's get to it. We got post-departure witness statements. What do they do and not do? What do they and do not establish? All right, so we got Matthew Lamp. One of my passengers is pretty certain he was part of the group that was almost fighting around 5 p.m. The Bertram, what's his name? The Bertram with the blue top that I posted left shortly after that. Ooh, and pretty fast. Excuse me. And then it says, Matthew Lamp, sir, you are sadly mistaken. We are the group you yelled at as you pulled up, thinking we were going to thinking that we were going to hit you when we weren't, and we were paying attention. Love, and then put the heart. Totally different kid was with us. I was with Bertram. I was with the Bertram boat, and we had no affiliation with him. Oh, okay. We hate to hear that this happened, but do not smear people if you did not actually see something happen. Ooh. This causes more issues for people in charge trying to find this baby, and it creates stories that are false. Now, I want y'all to understand this. The reason I'm reading this slow is because it's hard for me to also see this. So, matter of fact, I'll just see if I can just take it out like from this. All right, this is what she was saying. So I want to see. Let me make sure that this is on the screen. All right, this is what she was saying. So she said, Matthew Lamp, sir, you are sadly mistaken. We are the group you yelled at as you pulled up thinking that we were going to hit you, and we weren't, and we were paying attention. You know, it's all love. Totally different kid was with us. I was with the Bertram boat, and we had no affiliation with him. We hate to hear that this happened, but do not smear people if you did not actually see something happen. This causes more issues for the people in charge trying to find this baby, and it creates stories that are false. We did speak to the boys at that moment. He did have an entire vodka bottle in his hand. You need to revamp your statement and not put blame toward anyone. We don't even know what happened, but I will tell you, you are mistaken. Give the cops my name. I will let them know who we really had on our boats. Amen. She said, don't play with me. Don't play with me. I ain't the one to be played with. I ain't finna get blamed for this. Y'all ain't finna have a smoke at me. I see what y'all doing to Barton. I see what y'all doing. Don't put it. No, you better not point that at me. But all right. So analytical significance. The two statements conflict on the identity of the person associated with the group. Lamp's wording is itself secondhand. One of my passengers is pretty certain. Of course, that is definitely secondhand. While Thomas explicitly says Lamp is mistaken. Therefore, the material cannot responsibly be presented as a confirmed 5 p.m. sighting of Nolan. All right. And then we have Caitlin Brochard. We were parked right next to them, and he was nowhere in sight when we left at 7:30. So the 7:30 statement is potentially useful as a negative observation, but only after establishing exactly where the commenter's vessels was located. The commenter's vessel was located. I don't know why I stated it like that. What area was visible, and how long the commenter was presented, and how long the commenter knew whom to look for. All right, so this shows that, you know, it looks like people were starting to disperse. They was even taking some pictures. Like, hey, this is around 7:30. You see that we still out here. We don't see nobody else out here for real. So, you know, well, as far as, you know, the other people that's already still on the island, because there was a few people that did stay on the island that stayed the night. But outside of that, you have the missing piece. The evidence presently supplied does not answer the most important question. What happened during the uncorroborated interval immediately before the asserted 1631 departure of the boat on which Nolan arrived at Horn Island? All right, this is what we keep missing. It just does not seem like we are getting no specific information on what happened after 4:31. It just seems like the kid comes down there. He's there. He's already been there for the longest. He's came out there with his friends. They done got drunk. They doing stuff. They got bottles. They got drinks. They got this. They on the boat. They having fun. They seeing a bunch of girls. And, hey, you know, having a good time. But then everybody has the same inclination. Everybody has the same thought process. Everybody who left with these people came back with the same people. But the only person that didn't was Nolan. And it just seems that, you know, it just doesn't make sense. So the evidence, yeah, I already just read that. The working reconstruction suggests 5 specific evidentiary problems that must be solved together. Authenticate the last independently corroborated sighting of Nolan, most times location, source, and medium. Authenticate the 323 and 427 media. Determine whether those times are event times, post times, or screen recording times. All right. Identify boat X and determine when it left the configuration shown besides boat number 1, boat number 2, where it went, and who was on board. Authenticate the 1631 departure of the boat on which Nolan arrived at Horn Island using primary electronic data rather than recollection. All right, not just going by your actual memory, because we cannot trust your memory. Your memory is fraught with risk. Create a complete occupant by occupant vessel roster and compare each person's statement against the visual record. You want to know why? Because you need to do a comparative analysis. You need to do a comparative analysis because then you can start to parse between certain statements. Until those 5 points are resolved, any narrative that claims certainty about Nolan's movement during the gap exceeds what the supplied evidence can support. That is sad, man. That is sad. That is sad because at the end of the day, what it's basically telling you is like, we still got a lot more information to go. We still got a lot more stuff that we got to uncover. We still got a lot more that we got to do, because even though we have been able to get more additional information, even though the Cajun Navy has been able to get more information, even though we have more corroborated, documented information that's being publicized, we even have the geospatial coordinates that's being positioned and shown, like this is how far this went from the time that this happened, from where we see on the 431, and then this is how far it went from the time that they end up making that distress call. About 296 meters. So, got another question for y'all. I want to know what y'all think. I want to know your perspective. Yep, I don't blame you at all, Garuda. I don't blame you at all. I don't blame you at all. But I want to know y'all thoughts. Like, do you think, and we ain't done yet, we still got a few more things that we got to go through, but I do want to know, do you think that this clears up any type of speculation on the 4 boys or on the other boys that they went out there with? Or does this draw more questions and attention to them? Or do you still feel unsure? Do you still feel unsure that you don't know? It's like, it's like I want to say, but it's just too loose right now. It's just too loose. It's too loose, you know? And that's what you don't want. You don't want it to be loose. You want it to be tight. No pun intended. But you want it to be tight, you know? We ain't going to be talking about, because, we talking about some other stuff, You know what I'm saying? But, so we also have the recommended evidence request. So what they are requesting, for the most part, it looks like they are requesting original media, obtain first generation files for every still video, including EXIF QuickTime metadata, platform download data, and unedited originals before labels were added. Then we have vessel electronics. We got chart plotter tracks, GPS, breadcrumbs, engine ECU records, AIS, if any, trolling motor tracks, VHF logs, and phone navigation histories for Triton Palm Beach and boats labeled number 1, 2, 3, and X. I think that is necessary. Do you know why I think that is necessary? Because if you get all of the electronics for each vessel, you know about when they left, came back, where they went, each place. Now, they stated that they did get that the police got the GPS of, I think the Triton. I don't know if they got the GPS of all the other ones. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. Hopefully they did. But if they didn't, the fix is in, man. That means that the fix is in. Phones with the appropriate legal authority / consent, original photo / video metadata, location history, message timestamps, airdrop text exchanges from occupants during the critical intervals. And this is what Ben Crump is sitting over as far as the litigation, to preserve all of that information. Don't delete, don't deny, don't deflect, preserve it. All right. So, and it says witness matrix, interview occupants, apparently ask each to draw vessel's position and identify who was aboard each boat at 15-minute intervals. Visual matching, use hull color, rub rail, T-top geometry, outboard, court / model, flag mounts, decals, and console layout to link unlabeled videos to identify vessels. All right, so you got to make sure you do additional visual matching. Then water ingress, determine visual observation, first pump activation, who noticed it, what action was taken, and whether water ingress affected the decision to depart. Search datum provenance. Obtain the new, what did I say though? See, and this is why I say I need my glasses. Obtain the raw origin vessel GPS data underlying the MDMR 1800 CST correspondence, which is 1500 Central Standard Time. Make sure that this is in. And clarify whether the coordinates denotes an anchor position, last known position, and reporting position, or a search planning datum. Okay, I do need to get my glasses. 1650 photos likely to upload from time, or is showing Bart towing the Triton, and the GPS time is coming from MDMR, so the Mississippi data. All right, and why was the police so quick to say it was no foul play? But if so, data that hasn't been presented yet in the case. And Garuda, I live in Florida. We have a lot of evil and racist people, especially Palm Beach. Oh, trust me, I know. That's why I stay up out that coastline. But outside of that, let's see. You got the appendix visuals. All right, so it shows like a wide shoreline image of the source blue vessel, blue arrows, and then you have all of these different vessels and all this stuff like that. You got boat X is missing. This is the fight video. You got boat 2 over there, boat 3, and then boat 1 POV. And then it goes through analytical conclusions by questions. So at what time the package contains a documented MDMR search planning time of 1800 CST, social media screen recording showing 3:23 and 4:27, social media claims around 5 p.m. and 7:30, and that the user supplied 16:31 departure of the boat on which Nolan arrived to Horn Island, and the original event timestamp for the most imagery remains unauthenticated. Which boats are present, so it goes through all of the different boats, which boats have moved, and it says boat X is annotated as present in one configuration and missing in another. And then from bay in boat number 2 is no longer in its earlier original position and supplied in the 1650, consistent with the fight video. Still, these observation support configurations change, but exact movements times remain unresolved. All right, so when did they move? Who was aboard those times? When did the Triton begin taking on water? All of these different things need to be established at a later point, and hopefully they may be able to get those additional pieces of information. But yeah, man, that's a pretty unfortunate situation when it comes to, you know, just the entire Nolan Wells case overall, just because it's like, dog, you just keep trying to figure out what in the world happened to Nolan Wells. It's like, what in the world happened to Carmen Sandiego? You know what I'm saying? We trying to figure out what in the world happened to Nolan Wells, and this stuff is frustrating because we want to make sure that we end up getting my man's justice. But then at the same time too, it's like, dog, every time we try to find a way of like, all right, we finally got something, we run into a brick wall. We run into a brick wall continuously. But all right, we got, who do we have here? Looks like we'll do this a little bit. We'll listen to TMZ's because they did provide this. I do want to at least get their perspective, even though we know that they ignorant, they bigoted, they stupid, they petty, they trash, they do a whole bunch of stuff. But we gonna at least try to give them some grace. We're gonna give them a little grace. We're gonna see if they end up doing some right bys, you know, in this front. So let's go ahead and see what in the world is going on so far, and we'll and hey man, y'all make sure let me see something real quick. All right, we got some good likes up in here. All right, some 104 likes to 120 some people up in here. That is some real good stuff. Hold on, do I see any? Has there been any more? Ooh. Let me see. Has there been any more super chats or anything? Can y'all let me know if there's been any more super chats or any more like gifts or something that's been provided? If there hasn't, I missed it. I do apologize. I do apologize. But let's continue.
The Cajun Navy has now weighed in on the Nolan Wells death investigation, death mystery, and they really didn't reach any conclusions. By the way, the Cajun Navy was kind of established during Hurricane Katrina, right in the aftermath, and it's not an official government agency, but it's a lot of people, you know, who navigate waters in the Mississippi area, who have helped in search and rescue. They've helped in investigation, and they've been investigating here. They haven't really concluded anything. I read the report, except I think the overlay to what they're saying is that the people who came over to Horn Island with Nolan did not leave with him.
Yeah, I think it's very clear because they put together a timeline of from all the tips that they had received, because like you mentioned, they were there, they were a part of the search for Nolan Wells when originally he was missing, and then later his...
Oh my God, bro. Is it just me or is her voice so annoying? Oh my God. Ugh, every time I hear her voice, it's like nails on a chalkboard, bro. Oh my God.
Body discovered, and they were there too when his body was discovered. So they've been getting a lot of tips and really spearheading the investigation.
They also they've gotten new photographs that we hadn't seen.
Yep. So this is they compiled together a bunch of photos that they had obtained from tipsters, information, interviews with people.
There's one thing that really caught my interest. There were a bunch of boats in the area, and they were identified.
All right, yeah, I can't really deal with the TMZ too much. So, yeah, that's pretty much like the perspective of TMZ, is that they're basically trying to position that the kids are not guilty for the most part. And I get that they're just trying to make sure that they, I don't know if they just automatic, and it's not even for us to say that the kids are guilty. It's more so just to say that we don't know. We don't know at the current moment. We don't know if anybody has done anything nefarious. We don't know if there's been any type of, wrongdoing done. We just don't know. We do not know. The only thing that we know for our position is that Nolan is gone, and we don't like that. We want something. We want to know what in the world happened. What in the world happened to Nolan? That's what we need to know. We ain't trying to hear nothing else about, there's no. Stop trying to deflect. Stop trying to sit up here and obfuscate. Give us what we want and tell us about what we actually want to know. But yeah, man, we gonna keep
confrontational more than you want to get to the bottom of it.
We gonna keep going with that and figuring out what in the world has happened with Nolan. But in the interim, we gonna actually tap into this just for a little bit of time, cause I want y'all to see Race Batum Tatum, Sambo Tatum trying to do some BS. I want y'all to see this smug keep embarrassing himself on these intellectual form. Every time he gets on an intellectual forum or platform, he looks like the biggest dumbass every single time. Like every time. This dude just always just come on, bruh. I'm not even what they are leading towards. Oh, they're saying that basically what they're trying to say is that the Cajun Navy basically stated that the kids are pretty much innocent. That's what they're trying to say, is that the kids are innocent. That's what Harvey is trying to summarize. That's not what it stated. It stated that it's unresolved. It's undetermined. They don't know a lot. There's a lot of gaps. They said that there's a huge gap with no explanation in between. Now, you got certain photos that say this is this and this is that. You also have certain photos where certain people left at a certain point in time. Well, certain boats had left at a certain point in time. So you don't really know on what specifically happened or if anything nefarious happened. We know that there's a gap for about a 2.5 hour time frame or about a 2 hour time frame. We know that there is no sighting of Nolan at a 7 p.m. time frame. And we know that they said that they did see him. The last time that they saw him was at 4:31. And they tried to position that there was this girl that had seen him, or that he was with this girl. And then they tried to put her on a certain boat. And that boat said, no, that's the boat that you said almost hit you. And we didn't. And that was not Nolan on that boat. That was somebody else. But we praying for that baby. And then we hope that we find her. But we do not need misinformation. So Harvey trying to create that narrative of saying that, oh yeah, this absolves the kids or absolve the other boys or whatever, or resolve the people that he came out there. No, it doesn't. It specifically says it's undetermined. Everything is undetermined. They don't know what happened in the interim between there. All right, so the Cajun Navy is just a bunch of volunteers and not an official organization by any means. True, they aren't an official body, but because they helped in a lot of different ways, they have credence. They get credence, and they have the credence in the vote of public. Like they have the vote of the public just because they helped in a lot of ways where the officials were lacking and or not able to do, because they know those areas on waters a lot better than those other individuals who may just be coming from another part of the country. So that's where you know in your own backyard, in your own stuff, and you know which way you can and cannot go, which time period this high tide and low tide comes, and all that stuff like that. It works in your benefit. So having the Cajun Navy, even though they aren't a legitimate organization as far as them just being a bunch of volunteers, they do have the credence. It's kind of like with Ben Crump and Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton, they'll be like, oh yeah, what does he do? It's like, well, You know, he does help. He does help with trying to get you some rights and justice, and get you some justice, regardless if it's criminal and or civil. He'll still try to make sure that you get some type of justice. So that's the main thing. But outside of that, I did want to at least touch in and see like what in the world was he talking about in these conversations. I've seen a few snippets, and it's been embarrassing. It's been embarrassing. So I'm gonna be definitely doing a video on this mug right here, and we might even end up having to do a full what is that called, live stream just for dog, because he's gonna take it and run with it. So but not saying that she does a wonderful job. She can get you together. I'm saying from a person that used to debate on a regular basis, you want to go a little bit like more stern. You want to be a little bit more stern. She's very much more pleasant and nice.
I would just like to know why you think that.
Well, there's a myriad of reasons. I think that conservative policies are more beneficial.
Ooh. All right, well, looks like, let me go ahead and I'll probably edit that part out. I don't know, because they just gave me a warning saying that heads up. Yeah. I don't know if they like us reviewing that. I don't know if Jubilee likes us reviewing that, like not live at least. So we might not be able to review that live, just being real with you, just because of, you know, certain things like that. And I don't want to put that in the, I don't want to mess that up. So
this smear campaign, which we called out a few live streams ago.
Hi, my boy.
See, family, TMZ has already chose this side.
Look, hey,
it's not on the side of Nolan Wells. They don't want justice for Nolan Wells.
Hold on, let me see.
They're defending those white boys too. I want you guys to check out this video right here, family, of this content creator exposing TMZ on air. Shout out to the family. Let's get this work.
TMZ, and I caught Harvey in a bold-faced lie. Yeah, but Harvey, how do you know? Has former Officer Tatum, has he provided you guys with the metadata? Yeah. Can you confirm to me right now that it was taken on?
And it's funny, it sure is Jubilee. As soon as I took it off, they took that warning off. They were like, yeah, yep, it sure was Jubilee. Jubilee, get on your head, boy. Like, you will not be streaming our content at all. But hold on, before we end up making sure, we got to make sure that we end up acknowledging Garuda Legends for a $10 super chat. We got to do it up, you feel me? We got to do it up. And then also, I'll be like and tell y'all about, you know, the couple of people that I like.
How come nobody arresting?
Shout out to Gentleman's Den. He doing his thing as well. And I appreciate content creators like him, because you see, me and him, we on the come up together. We on the come up together. He got about 454 up in his chat. I got about 100 and something in my chat. We going up. Like shit, I just got 16.1. He just got 14.8. Like, bro, we really getting to that point, man. So yeah, Jubilee, I guess we cannot react to that. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna find something else that we could actually react to for a minute. But yeah, that was a bit crazy. That was a bit crazy. They said, They said, you will not be doing that. You will not be doing that. Hold on. So did Flacco drop a video about it? Did Flacco drop a video about TMZ exposing themselves? Did he drop? Did he drop a video to it? Oh my God! Let's hold on. We gotta go to Poetic Flacco for the video. Let's go to Poetic Flacco and see what in the world he talking about today. And I see so somebody told me that the reason he got the hat on is because he cut part of his hair because he trying to get his beard more filled in and thicker. I ain't know that, but that is crazy. But let's go ahead and knock it in. Let's knock out and see what's going on, because TMZ do be on some hypocritical stuff, boy.
TMZ just got outed and exposed on their own show for running propaganda on this Nolan Wells situation. Shout out to this good brother called Trent Out Loud. Yo, TMZ so salty, they ain't even put the brother name on the screen. But the brother essentially came up and poked holes in certain things that TMZ have been saying that they've been pushing as absolute 100% impenetrable fact. But the problem here is they've been pushing things as facts that are just theories. See, they are so quick to discredit any theory that falls into the favor of Benjamin Crump or Nolan Wells family and their opinions of what took place, but they're so quick to stamp whatever theories the opposing opinion is. Whatever theories Officer Tatum throws out there. This brother here did a brilliant job at poking holes and reasonable doubt in whatever TMZ has to disseminate. The first 3 seconds of this is really strange. TMZ Live is supposed to be live. They've never had a pre-recorded TMZ Live ever. But when they knew the brother was coming on, Trent Out Loud, you know what they did? They recorded the segment with Trent Out Loud before they went live, and then they uploaded the recording as a part of the live. And the reason why they did that is because they wanted a chance to edit and take out certain things that Trent would say. And I hope you guys catch it the first couple of seconds.
Come to TMZ Live in the Nolan Wells case. I think a very significant development. The Mississippi State Medical Examiner has completed the autopsy on Nolan Wells. We told you that there was a second autopsy. Actually, it was completed before the first one and done by the family. And the cause of death there was undetermined, although according to the family lawyer, Ben Crump, the medical examiner they used privately did not rule out foul play, but on the other hand, apparently has not found foul play. There was a discoloration on his skull, which could involve foul play, but it also could be something like blood pooling when the body was on a slab at the morgue.
But I'm wondering, then if it was blood pooling in the back of his head when he was on a slab at the morgue, wouldn't it be blood pooling on his face as well when he was on his face after, like when they found him? Wouldn't there be blood pooling then as well? I would have thought that would have been having some blood pooling too. Wouldn't y'all think that? Wouldn't that make sense? That just don't make sense to me. I'm sorry. I don't know. It just don't make sense to me. I just want to know how the Cajun Navy performed a partial investigation when they were contacted by Nolan's mom after the after the U.S. Coast Guard was called, and how did they know who to go question? I think they more so gleaned from the information that was on social media, and then also probably put out information and posts to say, hey, we're conducting an investigation. Can you reach out to us? And this, that, and the third. Probably end up reaching out to the people that was intimately involved, or at least like, you know, showing that they were publicly involved. So then from there, they probably just made like certain determinations and contacts. I don't know, but that would be my inference if I was to draw any. But outside of that, this is funny. Whenever he's talking about like the blood pooling, I'm like, why doesn't the blood pool right in his face too as well? He was found on his face, and then when he was transported on his face. Why wouldn't it be blood pooling this way?
We don't know. Right now, there are really no conclusions, at least that have been made public. The official autopsy results remain sealed. They will not be released probably for a while, because the DA has already said this case is going to go before a grand jury.
So they'll start with the investigative phase. To your point, they can compel witnesses to provide information or to testify. They can also compel individuals to give records up to the investigative grand jury as well.
If nobody did nothing wrong, why would they need subpoenas and warrants to give people text records? Like, why not? Hey, bro, here's my phone. Go through my phone. I can sign over whatever you need me to sign over. So, like Verizon and these other companies can give you my text records, because
Tell me that ain't the facts. Why do I gotta sit up here and send a subpoena? I said this before myself. I said, bro, why would a friend, if that's your friend and you saying that y'all being transparent, y'all giving up all the information, why didn't y'all provide the phones? Why ain't y'all providing all of the information? Why do they have to get the subpoena for it? Now, the subpoena, more so than anything, is just to preserve it. That's more so why they're doing it. It's just to preserve. So that way they don't delete it and then say, oh, I didn't mean to. No, you were told to preserve it. So, and because they'll be like, oh, no, that's not deleting evidence because there was no evidence at that point in time. Be like, nah, well, we subpoenaed it. So yeah, it's a way it's a legal loophole that they'll try to use. That's why Ben Crump did that.
I have nothing to hide. What we're seeing here is a contradiction in actions of what's happened behind the scenes and what's happening in public. In public, everybody is saying, oh, we did nothing wrong. We've told everything we know.
Facts.
And then Tatum comes and said, well, they didn't tell everything they know because they just told me there was a drug dealer on campus.
Hold on, Flacco. We ain't just finna bypass that, bro. You got this doggone beard now, bro. Like, this is why you cut your hair so you could get this beard?
Everybody is saying, oh, we did nothing wrong. We've told.
This is why you cut your hair so you can get one of these? You wanted one of these, my boy? You was like, hold on, bro. I want my stuff to be a little thicker. You can't let it just grow natural, huh, my boy? Heck no, that's
everything
crazy.
we know. And then Tatum comes and said, well, they didn't tell everything they.
Yeah, bro. Tell them that they need to go back into that one, too.
No, because they just told me, there was a drug dealer on campus. They seen this dude right here arguing and fighting with Nolan. Huh? Why wasn't this said?
Bro.
So people are saying we have nothing to hide. We will give everything we got. Then, well, we're not giving you this.
Exactly.
We know nothing. Then, well, we know a little bit more.
Exactly.
At some point, we got to call it out. Now, Harvey would explore the possibilities of the grand jury coming back and saying this was accidental, there was no foul play here, and then closing this case very shortly.
Which could open up things like text records. I know that they can get those from the phone companies without the grand jury, but it makes it a lot easier.
Is it just me or does Harvey look like an evil gremlin? Like, he just looks like an evil gremlin. Like, for real, dog. Like, he just looks like an evil gremlin to me. Like, dog just looks he just look, he like a little kid. He look like a old man in a kid's body. Like, he really looked like an old man in a kid's body.
To be able to go directly to the source to get information that they might want as an investigative matter. Then, depending on what they find, to your point, they can absolutely convert that into an indicting grand jury, and they can try to get indictments against any potential wrongdoers.
Or, and we have to say this, and I think it's important to say, or they can conclude this was a tragic accident and that there's no criminality. And I think people have got to remember that is an absolute possibility on the table here, because there's been a lot of chatter online and by various people, who have gone to the media, but there is no clear path right now to any criminality that at least has been disclosed, except for one thing: there's already been an arrest, but the arrest doesn't have to do with Nolan Wells.
Not related.
Let me get this straight, though. But why isn't the FBI going after the people that's threatening Nolan Wells' mama? Ain't nobody went after that person or those people. I'm not hearing about any arrest off of that, but they didn't do it for that judge. They'll make an arrest. The only arrest being made is for the white lady. In the case where the black dude died, in the case where the young black man dies and nobody knows nothing, the only person to get arrested is somebody getting arrested for the white lady. Boy, that's some crazy stuff. And this dude, I swear to God, he just looks like a gremlin. What is that one dude? What's that one gremlin dude that had the pot of gold? It was like, what was that, Leprechaun in the Hood? Yeah, he looked like the Leprechaun in the Hood. He looked like the Leprechaun in the Hood. That's exactly who he looked like. I couldn't put a finger on it, but he looks just like that. That's what he looks like. He looks like the Leprechaun in the Hood. That is crazy. This man looks like the Leprechaun in the Hood. Goddamn.
Yeah, so
the arrest somewhat have to do with Nolan Wells, okay? Warren, Nolan Wells' friend, his mama, who's a judge, dumb people have been leaving her like negative DMs, have been threatening her via the DM, via phone calls. And apparently one of these people were dumb enough to leave a DM under their real name, and she got picked up and she got arrested. Now, TMZ will talk about this fringe incident as if this is a representative of everybody else who have this opinion that Nolan Wells was murdered. It's not. Like, these people are fringe, right? But they would also discuss this, but they would never address Nolan Wells' mama receiving threats as well. Facts. They don't address that. They don't address the fact that Nolan Wells' mama have been pretty vocal, have been pretty open, have been pretty loud about how she can't stop receiving like threatening calls. She got to turn off her phone. She got to change her phone settings to like extreme D&D and find different ways to circumvent the threatening phone calls. There's been no arrest when it comes to her. There's been no arrest. Nobody has been questioned. So that alone is evidence that, the police is going about the situation entirely wrong. It looks like they're only focused on protecting one group of people while leaving the other group vulnerable.
Yep.
If Ashley Cole's perpetrators are being hunted down and arrested swiftly, why isn't Christine's?
we know that all the boys that were originally a part of the 3 boats that went out to Horn Island on 4th of July with Nolan, all those boys, we're told, have been cooperated behind the scenes with police, but have been receiving an overwhelming amount of threats, not just them, but also their family as well, the family of Warren Hudson specifically, his mother, who is a judge who, you know, the internet uncovered pretty early on when trying to piece together all the pieces of this case. She, we're told, got a lot of threats, specifically from this one man who is known as a Sacramento area man, was arrested. And we know that the FBI had been looking into a lot of these threats. A lot of the families have been threatened, some of them credible, some of them not. But they are showing that this is very serious. They're taking these threats very seriously, and this man is behind bars.
And there is something else that
people will say that TMZ is credible. They will say that
TMZ has never been credible. I'm going to say this now. TMZ has never been credible. TMZ has been foreverly flawed. They have never been credible. They have always been a tabloid. They have always been a celebrity tabloid. They are not credible. The only thing that people tried to give them credibility after is because they said that Michael Jackson had passed away. That's where they tried to get their credibility from. They don't have any credibility. They are a sensationalized show. That's it. They are a show. They are not news. They are not anything else. They are a show.
Credible news source. But TMZ don't even know that the person arrested for threatening Ashley Cole was actually a woman, not a man. It was a woman. But they'll say, right, like, we can't be trusted, but then they'll listen to TMZ as if TMZ is the Bible. But TMZ be wrong too, bro. TMZ have gotten countless things wrong. Facts. TMZ said that Adam 22 and Lena was getting a divorce. That was false. If they would have done their basic research, they would have found out that that was a troll. All right? So TMZ is not the end-all be-all.
It is.
Now, they're about to get to something very interesting. You see, the autopsy results. The family of Nolan Wells have yet to receive the autopsy results. Now, I've never been in a situation where I have to seek out the autopsy from from the state, right? I've never been in that position as the head of the family when somebody dies. But even if they're trying to keep the results on wraps for whatever grand jury is coming up, shouldn't the family be the first one to know? Shouldn't you inform them, hey, we found out the cause of death for your son? Apparently, the city hasn't. Now, Harvey starts to defend that position. He starts to defend the position that the family should not be notified because the state should keep this under wraps. In what world should a grieving mother not be notified of the cause of death of her son? But Harvey thinks this is completely okay. And that's what I'm talking about when I say, yo, these people are completely on the side of Ocean Springs, of the sheriffs, of anybody who's opposing the family. They're on their side. They don't even show any objectivity whatsoever.
These boys, why did they leave him on the island? What happened? Talking about the audio, that dispatch audio that we had obtained, which was the dispatch audio to Cito when one of the boats was sinking, and you could possibly hear stuff going on in the background.
Here's the stuff in the...
I don't like Harvey. I remember Harvey, I remember when Van Latham said that, Harvey said that if he buys a CD and it has the N-word, he should be able to say the N-word. Bro, I ain't like Harvey. Once I heard that, I was like, nah, I'm good on dog. But you could tell that he's that type of smug individual. You could tell that he's that type of pompous individual. Like, bro, Harvey is one of them dudes that he's a former attorney, and just because he was on Judge Judy wrapping up her court cases and stuff, he feels like he's bigger than the program. Bro, you were Judge Judy's sidekick. Yes, you got your TMZ, what's the name, but you are just doing a tabloid, bro. This is nothing a tabloid, a paparazzi tabloid, a celebrity paparazzi tabloid.
Background that's important, that there's a lot of talk that they said the word Nolan and he's dead. And if you try and hear that, maybe you can. But what we've kind of concluded based on video that we received is that Nolan was not on that boat, that's the boat at the beginning of the trip back from Horn Island.
Yeah.
And that Nolan is not on that boat, and that's the boat that went into distress a few minutes after leaving Horn Island. Nolan was not on that boat. ABC News is saying that authorities have said that there are 2 witnesses they've talked to that place Nolan on the island as late as 6 o'clock in the evening, long after that boat left. And
him saying that ABC News said that, like, provide that information, because nobody I've not heard that. He's the only person I've heard make that statement. Even off of the Cajun Navy. The Cajun Navy's report didn't even say that. Correct me if I'm wrong, y'all. Did the Cajun Navy, we just went through this whole Cajun Navy, what's the name? Did the Cajun Navy say anything about 6 o'clock besides the fact that they had, the only time I think that they even brought up 6 o'clock was when they said that they were potentially going out for the search. Like the search of the vessel to, tow it back. That's about it. That's the only reference of 6 o'clock. There was nothing else that was a reference about 6 o'clock or anybody saying that they have any sightings of him. That they literally stated that the last known sighting of Nolan was at 4:31 or around like 4-ish. Bro, you can't.
That he had been drinking heavily.
None of this is fact. This is all theories. Nolan Wells' mama did an interview, and the mama says that the coach, a coach of his, actually spoke to Nolan, and the coach says Nolan was not drunk. Like, Nolan was not, like, heavily intoxicated. TMZ does not bring that up. They don't bring up the fact that Nolan's mama is debunking the drinking heavily narrative. But they'll bring up the drinking heavily narrative that's been, again, disseminated by Tatum as if it's facts. And it's just not, okay? Now, Harvey would even go as far, and you're about to hear about the autopsy right now, Harvey will even go as far as to say that he don't believe that transparency when it comes to the autopsy, transparency when it comes to this investigation, he don't think transparency is needed, that they should be as closed off as possible.
Now, I don't think that leads to any particular conclusion, except that it seems to basically eliminate those kids from anything that ultimately may have happened to Nolan, if it's all true that he stayed behind on the island, was drinking, people saw him, and the boat had long gone by that point, right?
Yeah. And I mean, it doesn't mean that somebody did not contribute to his death. It's, you know, we're still looking at all the facts and hearing all the tips, but it's just exactly what you said, Harvey, excluding all the boys who had originally been accused on social media of having something to do with his death. It kind of eliminates that.
This is exactly why the DA needs to act quickly as it can, do a thorough investigation, and then be completely transparent. Because unless all that happens,
I disagree with you. The DA should not be driven by a flurry on social media, because that leads to bad investigations.
I want a good investigation, but the public outcry is going to be too great unless we come up full transparency here of exactly what they found.
If the DA starts to bend to social media, God help us.
Hey, this is Trent Out Loud, YouTuber. I think the judge threats and the Benjamin Crump defamation lawsuit is just a distraction.
Fact.
I think it's incredibly telling that a white woman goes out and shows us the threats she's getting, and within days there is an arrest, but there has been zero arrest when it comes to the Nolan Wells case. Do you have any idea how many threats Christine has gotten? How come there's nobody arresting for the people that are threatening her?
Well, I can guarantee you Christine is getting way more threats than Ashley Cole. Nobody knew who Ashley Cole was before Ashley Cole inserted herself into the situation. More people know who Christine is. And let's be real here, bro. Fan, listen, man. Yo, black folks, there's only a small percentage of us who was bold enough, okay, to leave threats to a sitting white judge. Sorry. You not convincing me there's an overload of threats towards Ashley Cole, a sitting judge? Man, cut it out, bro. We not that bold, right? And that's not even in our...
Hey, Flacco, you got to stop saying we not this, we not that. You got to stop saying that, bro. You don't know people. You really don't. I have friends that rob judges. Just because you a judge, yeah, that's cool. Don't absolve you from anything, bro. Please understand that. I get what you trying to say, and I get that you trying to position this narrative of, oh no, we're not that type, we're not that capable. I'm not saying that we're capable of going out just doing it off of some whim, but like if somebody see that you got something they want, bro, all right.
MO, bro, black folks not like, bro, we not on like social media, like, you feel me? Like, yeah, like being trolls like that, like leaving threatening to judges.
That's facts.
But I can tell you who MO that is, though. I can tell you the white nationalists, that's their MO.
Oh, that's definitely
harassment campaigns, coordinated attacks, that's their MO.
Definitely.
And they've been doing that to Christine, and nobody has anything to say about it. And Trent Out Loud, bro, I'm so glad this brother called this out, bro. Because now they're forced to address it live and explain why exactly didn't y'all bring that up when y'all brought up threats being made? Y'all brought up the threats being made as if this was like a one-sided thing, as if these people are being threatened because of these conspiracy theories out there.
No, listen, you first have to determine if there's foul play, right? And I don't know that they've determined that yet. So you don't go out and start arresting people until you know, A, if there's foul play, and B, who did it. But
did you just see how he deflected? What the Hold on. This got to be edited. This has to be edited. This is why they pre-recorded it, because he didn't respond to the statement that was made. He responded to what they cut that part out. They must have cut that part out. Heck no.
Just because there hasn't been doesn't mean there's not a real investigation behind it.
Agreed. But now let's talk about that picture that you showed up of the boat. We got that picture from Officer Tatum, former Officer Tatum. How do we know when that picture was taken? We have no metadata. We have no proof. How do we know that? And also,
well, no. But what the video? It's not a pic. We're talking about.
Well, he put out pictures and video. But
I know, but the video, we can align the video with the distress call, and he wasn't on that boat.
What? How are you trying to? What? How do you corroborate that? How did you just come up with that sentiment based upon that? He just asked a very logical question, which Harvey being an attorney, he would easily be able to pontificate off. How do you not come up with that? What? You always call into question. That's one of the first things that you will call into question. How valid is that video? Because question: did they or not? Did they not show a photo of Nolan being in the pool, and they said that was the night, that was the same night, but then they say no, that was back on June 20th or something like that. Bro, y'all, hey man, you could tell that Harvey is biased, man. Hey, I'll never respect Harvey. I'm straight.
Yeah, but Harvey, how do you know? Has former Officer Tatum, has he provided you guys with the metadata? Do you know 100% when that video and those pictures were taken? Can you confirm to me right now that it was taken on July the 4th?
That's what we have concluded based on everything we've looked at, metadata.
Did you see that he's not answering the question? He asked you, do you have that information? He didn't. That was a yes or no question. He tried to say, trying to obfuscate. This is so intellectually dishonest, bro. Harvey is a goofy.
That's what we have concluded based on everything we've looked at, metadata, talking to people, and aligning it with the distress call. Yeah. Now, look. Anything is possible.
You said that you got the metadata.
I'm certainly not saying it wasn't foul play, because I don't know. It's just, I think, jumping to conclusions at the beginning and starting to point fingers at people without really knowing. It may be fair, but what if it's really unfair and you're kind of tarnishing people who really shouldn't be tarnished? Shouldn't that be a concern?
I think if anybody who jumped to conclusions first was the Mississippi officers that jumped to conclusions 1 hour after finding his body and said, no evidence of foul play. They jumped to conclusions, not us.
Well, I think that's fair. I think that's fair.
They just want the truth.
I think that's fair. I also think there is a spotlight on them right now, and they know they better do a thorough investigation.
You know what's unfair? Unfair, right, is Nolan Wells' mama saying, I just want an investigation. I just want things to be done thoroughly. Benjamin Crump saying, I just want a thorough investigation. I just want it to be done properly. Al Sharpton saying, I just want a fair investigation. I'm not saying it's racism. I'm not saying it's about race, but I can't rule it out either. And then you have literal grifters, literal flesh-eating grifters, hearing them say that and then tell you guys they said the friends killed him. Huh? Wait, when did they say that? They said they just want an investigation. And then the flesh-eating grifters repeat that enough until TMZ is now on their platform saying that Benjamin Crump, the mama, Al Sharpton, and the family is responsible for the uproar against Nolan Wells' friends. No, Nolan Wells' friends are responsible for their uproar. All Nolan Wells' mama has ever said is she just wants a fair investigation. Give her that. Y'all let me know in the comment section what y'all.
Man, that's so evil, bro. Like, that really is evil, but that's bro, Harvey is a goofball. Harvey is evil. Bro, I don't know if I can react to any more TMZ, like, unless it's just me cutting it up or something like that. Because if you are that intellectually dishonest and you are that petulant or you are that weak, where as a former attorney, somebody brings up these things to you, and instead of you being honest and being able to say, hey, this is when I got this information, this is how I got it, we verified it, checked the metadata, this, that, and the third, you got to deflect. You got to sit up here and obfuscate. You can't answer the questions directly, but what you will do is make sure that you will draw a conclusion saying that the kids are removed from it. Those dudes, those young dudes, they are not removed from it. Just because you want to remove them from it doesn't remove them from it. I'm sorry, that just doesn't fit your theory. But what you shouldn't be doing is only worrying about, why is it that you only worry about the white lady? You're only worried about the white lady, the judge, but you don't even care about Christine being threatened more than anybody. Yet, you ain't sat up here and said, yeah, why ain't the FBI investigating on that? Why ain't the FBI got that information? Why hasn't the FBI made any arrests towards that or even made any contact? And then to say that, oh yeah, it was a dude, this, that, and the third. We thought it was a dude, but shit, obviously it was a girl. Bro, y'all, dog is evil, man. Dog is evil. I can't deal with that. But Hey man, we done been on this mug for about 2.5 hours, so you know I definitely appreciate y'all for tapping in and tuning in for another legendary video. You know it's your host with the most, Finding Nemo, aka you know I need more ammo, Mr. Take a Shot from Big Shot Ammunition's in the building. I appreciate y'all. Y'all make sure that y'all hype this video, like, share, and subscribe. I'm gonna cut this mug up too, so that way I can end up dropping it, just so that way some people will know that we can't rock with TMZ no more, man. I can't rock with TMZ no more. We can't bang with them. All right, I'll see y'all later up on the next videos coming later. We actually gonna be doing a video going at Vic Mensa. We gotta address Vic Mensa. Vic Mensa attacked the black community. He went on the attack of the black community, and we have to address that. We have to address that, especially with the level of intellectually dishonest rhetoric that he was putting out. So we need to address it, and we'll address it in full. But I appreciate y'all. Y'all take it easy. I'll see y'all later. Peace and love.